cult, and Floyd's got hooked up. Awesome. And George, if you wanted to get hooked up, go ahead and hook up your channel too, as we're getting warmed up here. Let's see. Social media. Fearless Floyd on social media. So,
Oh, yeah. You
okay.
can find me on YouTube, Conscious Phenomena. I'm also the co-host of the UFO No podcast.
UFO No podcast, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So just to give you all a little short synopsis, I met George through being in a cult, and I left the cult, and George pulled me over into a UFO group where a long coat owns it, and he's a really good dude. He's like very anti-cult. And then I met Floyd through dealings with Lone Wolf and Melanie Breris, which, if you all have paid attention to my story on my channel, you can see that Lone Wolf and Melanie were in together for a bit, and Floyd makes it his personal job to out the bullies, the scam artists, and the cult leaders. So, without further ado, let's get on it, guys.
All right.
Cults of America. Okay, cults often have a charismatic leader who exercises total authority and control over its members. So, what do you all have to say about general, just kind of overall, what do you see with cult leaders that you've picked up?
Go ahead, George.
Well, cult leaders, it's undeniable that it's often been said that the cult leaders themselves become cults of personality. They're very endearing. They can be very articulate, and they present a service for people who may be in some kind of desperation or vulnerable, state. And they often arrive with the promise of bettering their lives, usually in exchange for some kind of fee, whether it be monetary, emotional, or purely a sense of belonging. So, the cult of personality is powerful in the sense that they leverage their platform through groupthink. So in time, they provide these esoteric answers to questions that people reflect on, and there are inherent dangers to be mindful of when it comes to ascribing to the messaging of an influential cult-like figure.
Right, yeah. Do you have anything to add to that, Floyd?
No, he's pretty spot on. That can come in any form. It can come in the form of an addiction you might have. It may come in the form of political. Even, I wore this shirt right here for a reason today. And what's the first thing you think of when you see this shirt?
Bowling alley, maybe car salesman.
Charlie Sheen, anger management.
Going to church. Yes. Okay.
Charlie Sheen always wore this type of shirts in this show, Anger Management. So that was like a cult. Same thing. So I wore this for a reason. And some of these folks who do become cult leaders, they weren't popular in school. They didn't have any power of authority. So now they get this little foothold on a topic or something like that, and they're able to magnify that. They do it through a little truth mixed up with a little confusion and a little lies. And that's what gets everybody, thinking, swirling in their brain, and they keep you contained, and they don't want you to think outside that box of what they're trying to program you into thinking. So, yeah, that's pretty much covers what a cult leader looks like. But they're going to come in many shapes, forms, fashions, colors, creeds, genders, It's a predominantly a male-driven society of cults, but there are women who are predominant, like Anna Von Reitz, and we can go through multiple others. But yeah, carry on.
So what you all are seeing here is some well-known ones that even if they did not choose to propagate their own cult, they become a cult of personality. One of them that a lot of people get very offended over is Trump. He is a cult of personality, absolutely. Now, the one I really want to draw attention to is that Kat Torres. She got very, very popular. She was trafficking people. She's still in prison. And if you watch her interview while she's in prison, she's like, I have a gift. I can talk people into anything. And she's very proud of that. So she's still, even though she's in prison, she's been caught, she's still very happy with, you know, all the people that she was able to talk into coming to go into Brazil and working for her. And that story is amazing. So you have anything to say about that? Either one of you?
That sounds like a show all in its own.
Oh yeah, it is. Cats is definitely, she is her own show for sure. Yeah.
Well, we're going to dive
Okay,
into that.
so yep, Lone Wolf. Lone Wolf owes me 60 hours. I'm not letting that go. He owes me 60 hours. He had a little bit of information, the promise of a process, a legal process, and the promise to help people. And when my husband listened to him, he went and told the judge everything Lone Wolf told him, and he almost went to jail for it. So these sovereign law group leaders they have the potential to get you in a lot of trouble. Take it over, Floyd.
Where do I begin with this clown? Okay. Patrick Marino. He came from the Telegram Room W4 Sandwich. W4 Sandwich is a IRS form process that people swear to God has worked. I've never spoken to, well, I've spoken to people who've told me it worked. I've spoken to people who've never showed me that it worked. So I've never seen the proof in the pudding. I operate on proof of concept, proof of success. Hopefully your proof of success has happened twice with two different things and it works consistently, like a credit or debit card. So he was in that group. He was an administrator and mod. The group is owned by Philip Kent. Smoking Baby Sean Haggerty is the predominant player in that group. But they were having a rift over how to do the paperwork. So Lone Wolf split off and took some admins and mods with him and created his own Telegram group, W4 Sandwich. And with that, he created a cult and he insulated it very well to, he was the God. He was the one who had all the answers. He spoke in legal gibberish because when I start talking legalese and Latin, I can just like run circles around you so you'll have no idea what the hell I'm talking about and you'll be totally confused by the time I'm done. Well, that's what he would do, but it wasn't anything that was coherent or cohesive. It's just a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo he's throwing out there to make himself sound smart and intelligent. So the reason he crossed my path is because he hit me up about 4.5 years ago before, the big thing we had, and asked me for help because he was living in his truck with his dog, a new guitar that he purchased, and he was on his daddy's phone, didn't even have his own phone service, homeless, and how to get off probation in Colorado. So I told him, man, I'm still looking for that, that golden ticket myself, man. If I find something, I'll let you know. So this was before he even did the whole W4 thing. So after that, he split off, did the W4, and in the evolution of that time, I developed a relationship with Ann LaFleur. We started doing the trust classes, other classes, and eventually rolled into the trust book that Ann did. So during this time, he solicited Ann to come over for me to teach trusts. And contacted me. He goes, "Hey man, this guy solicited me. Told me we can make a bunch of money together." I'm like, "Oh, did he? Okay. Well, there he's trying to steal my business associate, who I have a well-established business relationship with." So I thought that was pretty shitty myself, and that put him on my radar. So I started getting complaints from people about, you sell trust. How come you sell trust? And people are getting their trust set up. And I've been in this trust class for 8 months, taking it every week and paying for consultations from Patrick and his admins, because I'm so confused after talking to Patrick and listening to him. And then the admins contradict him. And I'm like, what? So for him, he's just milking people. He'll go through his classes, and I gotta do this, folks. It sounds so crazy, okay? It really does. But I swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but truth, so help me God. 8 months, 4 weeks per month, they had this class that I guarantee you went at least an hour, if not longer, that they paid for every week. In that 8 months, not once did anybody in the class ever see a trust, read a trust, look at a trust, go over a trust, go over any document in a trust. Nothing for 8 months.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. 8. I go, what do you mean you've never seen a trust? How do you not see a trust in a trust class? You've been there for 8 months. I've got people who've taken my class in 1 week. They've got their trust set up, got their EIN and non-interest-bearing bank account, and they're ready to roll in 1 week. I'm like, okay, well, you go, girl. So the evolution of this is, I went to shut him down because he's grifting people. He's putting people in a cult. If people were outside the Telegram room or talking to other people in other W4 sandwich Telegram rooms that were unaffiliated, they either got kicked out or they got scolded and chastised in front of the whole group in their little chats. And, just really, just beat them up. So I'll cut that short and get into what he's done today, because I have profiled him so many times. He sent YouTube his copyright paperwork for his name, had a couple videos pulled down, not all of them. He's contacted probably every member on the Texas Board of Criminal Justice, as well as the Texas Board of Pardons, as well as the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Parole Division Director, which got all the way down to the Assistant Regional Director here in Houston, Texas, which called me to my parole officer's office. And we went into a back office of me, the Assistant Regional Director, the office manager, and my PO. And we went over this email from Patrick Marino that he had sent to God and everybody, and it apparently had rolled downhill waiting to shit on me. Well, I went in there and I did what I do. I speak very well. I speak very politely because I have about 18 years experience interacting with people that work in the prison and parole system. Absolutely. I know how to talk to these people. So we all left there laughing, cutting it up. I mean, it was a joke after about the first 30 minutes when all the seriousness had left the room. But that's how, low piece of shit this guy really is, that, he wants to get me locked up because I'm spreading the truth that he's a scammer. He's a liar. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's illegal. And to this day, I called my PO last month. Yeah. Well, she called me a month ago in August for my every 2-month report, every 60 days. All we do is call on the phone, talk. Said, hey, you heard from Patrick Marino? Yeah. I'm like, really? I told you would, didn't I? She said, yeah. I go, what's he talking about now? She goes, well, I can't tell you that. You have to do a FOIA to get all that information. But
hey, Floyd, I got a question for you in regards to this lawfare interaction between both you and Lone Wolf. Now, in a nutshell, I was curious, listening to your story. I've seen a lot of your YouTube videos, especially the recent one where you issue a warning to people that are trying to dox and harass you and going to discovery if you have to. Like, getting the IP addresses of people that are sending this anonymous hate through the internet. But I was wondering, and this is a simple two-part question, in what ways does this sovereign citizen leader, if I can call him that, how does Lone Wolf and those of his ilk, how do they exploit legal ignorance and misinformation among their followers, and how does this exploitation affect the followers' financial as well as personal well-being?
All right, his whole he's not an admitted sovereign citizen, so I can't classify him that. So he is not a sovereign citizen, as far as I know. What he's trying to do is effectuate some legal process utilizing the IRS. But in that evolution that, hey, look, I got a group that are following me. They'll do anything I say, whatever I put out here. So he's tried to evolve into more money generating revenue streams by whatever that looks like. Whatever's amenable, whatever's acceptable, and whatever they're bite on, that's what he's going to throw out there and continue to do. But his main gist was to get people to do this process where they could discharge a debt. So let's say you could discharge your credit cards, or you could discharge your mortgage, or you could discharge your car loan, or you could discharge your electricity bill, you could discharge your rent, all kind of things. So the greed factor, well, they even said that you could discharge parole, probation, jail, prison sentences with the W-4 package as well. I did it on everything because at the time I was vetting every process out there, and I did the W-4 sandwich for you name it. I did it, everything. I mean, Social Security cards, prison ID cards, you name it. I did it just to see if it would work, and I didn't get a response. So the main hook that he grabs people with is you'll be able to reap the rewards by doing what I'm telling you to do, regardless of what the process looks like. Most people, because they're terrified of the IRS, don't know. So they're counting on people like Lone Wolf here that have the business acumen, the tax acumen, the legal acumen to be able to fulfill exactly what they're telling you that you can accomplish by utilizing their process. The problem is you don't know. So you don't have a Black's Law dictionary right behind you, and you don't vet everything. I'll get into it a little bit later when we talk about some other ones, about a phone call I just had. It's a repeat. I've had this conversation dozens of times with people, same conversation, and it's just horrific, and it really sucks because they are in Texas and they didn't listen to me. And they followed right behind my footsteps, did the same thing. So that's how that works with Patrick and the way that rolls, and how most of these guys have some kind of hook, some kind of incentive. They play upon your greed or your need because, hey, I got this need. I'm facing CPS. I need to get out of it. I've got this alimony I need to get rid of, or I've got this court case pending I need to get rid of, or, backs up against a wall somewhere, someplace. They're not always truthful with you about what they're really trying to do. They're a little bit fishy. So the whole thing's kind of wonky. That's why I'm just really transparent. All I want is the truth. I don't care what it looks like, tastes like, sounds like, smells like. I really don't care. It's just whatever the truth is. That's how we're going to get there. So to follow up with Patrick. So it's so funny. Basically, he's gotten nowhere. He's got a couple videos taken down from me. Now, all my PO and all the supervisors and regional directors, they don't have spam, so they can't spam his emails. She goes, well, the director told us that he has a First Amendment right to send it, so we just get it and don't read them. We just keep going. I'm like, okay, that's what I figured. I told you he's gonna keep pestering you too. Watch. So I'll find out next month.
You hear that? Listen up, Patty. It's falling on deaf ears, Patty. All right, let's go to Christopher Hauser. Who's this character?
Christopher Allen Hauser. All right. Christopher Allen Hauser popped up on the scene back in October of 2020. Yeah, I think 2020 or 2021. Came up with a sovereign citizen video, courtroom. Then about 2 or 3 videos later, he pops up with this 1099-A form. It's made out for $4 million. Tells everybody he's wealthy, he's a multimillionaire. I'm like, whoa, what the hell's this? Because when I was in prison, I had the 1099 OID process that everybody was going to federal prison for in the mid 2000s, early 2000s. So I was like, well, man, this popped up, and when I'm in prison and I'm reading all these logs, I'm reading about these people and stuff they went through. Tucci, Heather Tucci. I read that whole case and I'm like, whoa, man, this stuff is nuts what these people are trying to do. So when I got out, that's nothing I really wanted to touch. But he came out with the 1099-A process. So I watched a few of his videos. Then in November, he started the Telegram channel, Chris Hauser Study Group. I followed that. And Chris said after 45 days, after filing your 1099-A for whatever you're trying to do, that you would obtain relief. So I went back and I read every post since its inception in this Telegram room. I read every one of them, like thousands and thousands of them. And what I was looking for is somebody who could post a success. That, hey, I got a car, I got my electricity discharged. Nothing. So I just started counting back out. 90 days. I demarked 90 days, 120 days, 165 days. I kept demarking these days, and eventually I was like 191, 192. Every day I'd post another date. Nobody knew what the hell I was talking about because all I was doing is just posting a number. But what I was posting is this guy's lying to everybody. So meantime, he was convicted in Tennessee for 22 counts of fraud and filing a fraudulent lien, a UCC1. That he paid somebody $6,500 to basically send him to prison because he didn't know what he was doing. So when he went in there with all this notoriety as a sovereign citizen, because he used that language in his motion to change venue from Knoxville, Tennessee, because of an event that had occurred right around the time of his trial with some other sovereign citizens, and they were trying to move it because they didn't think they could get an impartial jury because of that event that had just happened. So in their motion to change venue, they admit they're sovereign citizens so they can get the change of venue.
Yeah. Oh, that's clever.
I know. It was just such a brilliant tactic. So, yeah. So he gets convicted. He goes to prison. He gets out in like April. That October, he starts the YouTube, November Telegram. I talked to him like in December on the phone. I get his phone number, call him up. I talked to him for about 3.5 hours. He's been to prison. Tennessee and Texas are very similar in their prison systems. So we had all that prison slang that we throw on back and forth that, you both know you've been in prison. And basically what happened when he went into prison is the notoriety of a sovereign citizen. Everybody automatically assumed he had all this secret knowledge, esoteric knowledge that they needed to get themselves out of prison. Does Chris have that missing piece, that form that we need to send it? So he becomes like this regaled king in there. Well, he starts learning all this stuff because they're bringing him all his processes. Because how do I know? I went through this when I was in prison. I was the smartest guy in the room, so they brought me all their stuff. Okay, that's how that works. That's how I know this has happened with Chris. So Chris has got his case on appeal in the Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals, and he's barking about, oh, we're going to challenge jurisdiction. I'm going to beat this case. I'm going to turn it around, blah, 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 blah. So it was broadcast live on YouTube. So you can go watch it, Tennessee Court of Criminal Appeals with Chris Hauser. And during that entire proceeding with his court-appointed attorney, because he can't afford a retained attorney, okay? Remember, this is the guy that showed up. I'm a millionaire. I'm wealth all this money. So the entire proceeding, not the panel of judges on the Court of Criminal Appeals, not Chris Hauser's defense attorney or appellate attorney, not his co-partners or co-defendants, attorneys, or the state's attorney. Not one person ever mentioned the word jurisdiction, which Chris kept barking. Oh, we're challenging jurisdiction. We're going to get this reversed. Blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. Well, I knew all along that he's full of shit. He's a legal moron. So the opinion comes out. I can't wait for the opinion. I read it. I told you, they're going to slam dunk him. Well, I'm appealing it to Tennessee Supreme Court. Okay, well, I can't wait for this. And we have to wait a year for that opinion. That opinion comes out, and it did exactly what I said it was going to do. Uphold the lower court's opinion. And Chris still doesn't know what to do because 1 year equitable tolling under AEDPA and the Effective Death Penalty Act of 1986, signed by Bill Clinton. You have 1 year when you're not in court, and that starts once your mandate issues on the state level. Most people don't know what a mandate is. This is how ignorant Chris is. He doesn't know that he's losing that ability to do his state and federal post-conviction on habeas corpus. So he never once brought up jurisdiction on his Court of Criminal Appeals, never brought it once up in his Tennessee Supreme Court, which you can go watch on YouTube as well, with his court-appointed counsel. Okay. This is years later when Chris should be very, very wealthy, should be a very happy camper, be able to afford an attorney, but yet he's still using a court-appointed attorney. He's been jumping from one thing to the next. Private banking is his new thing. Now he's doing a 1099 A and C process, and he wants to give you like you got to give him like 250,000 in credits to him to access you for your. I don't even know what the fuck he's trying to do.
That is crazy.
You mentioned that this fellow instituted some kind of private bank. That doesn't necessarily mean it would comply with federal regulations, one. And number two, if this was a private bank, how can this private bank do business with other banks that are industry standard and approved?
None of this is proved. This is people, prodding here, prodding there, think that they have the right effective process to do things. And I'm not going to say every process out there is a fallacy, because they're not. People are having successes. So in the last 5 years, since I've been doing all these bullshit ass processes, some of them are becoming effective. It's my own personal theory that people have appealed this high enough that they finally hit the right authority who would go down to that vendor and tell them, you've got to process that. You can't kick that back out and send it to them or keep it or, make them pay something else. So I think that's what's happening with some of these vendors. Like Navy Federal Credit Union is a really good financial institution. I've never heard a bad thing about them. And apparently they're taking stuff, if you have a loan through them, that they are utilizing some of the coupon methodology and other processes to discharge the debt. So that's kind of what the hook is to all these guys. They're playing upon people to how to get out some type of criminal or financial responsibility or to cut corners, and I'm guilty of sin. Of trying to cut corners and making a mistake. So please do not surrender your driver's license if you do not know what to do next. I promise you, okay? Because I'm guilty. I got screwed. I spent 3 weeks in Puerto Rico without a driver's license, couldn't rent a car, couldn't drive a car, and it sucked because I didn't know the next process. I know what it is now. So please don't do that, folks. Vet everything. So that's pretty much Hauser, but Chris is, and I don't know what his motivations is, because it doesn't look like he's, trying to monopolize on this through a subscription or, buy this or buy that. He's trying to hustle you on the back with the credits. Which, listen, folks, I promise you, okay? If you get Willy Wonka's golden ticket, you get that black card or that white card. The black card would be the American Express black card that's connected to your Treasury direct account. and you can go anywhere you want, anytime you want. You don't have to worry about any bills. You can eat at any restaurant. You can date any woman, any man. Are you really going to be on social media trying to sell something to somebody? Are you be hustling and grinding, answering emails, answering phones, answering texts? Or are you going to be out enjoying
Right.
life, traveling the world, try to see as many beaches as you can? That's what I'm trying to tell you, folks. These people on here selling all this shit, these big expensive packages, like David Lester Straight. Let's go to him. Go back to David. This is a perfect example.
David. All right.
David Lester Straight. He's selling a PMA for $2,500, folks. $2,500. Okay. I just ran a special that I would give Ann LaFleur's PMA class. And if you don't know who Ann LaFleur is, she was the other half of Bonds for the Win. Michelle Clan and Ann LaFleur. Okay. She's my business partner. She wrote the book on trust. So we did a special. We sold the PMA live class for $149, and I threw in Ann LaFleur's On Trust ebook. That's a $249 book for free. So either you're getting a class for $149 and you get a free book, or vice versa. So he's charging $2,500. Now he's running a thing, $500 discount. If you see this flag behind David right here, this is the peace flag. Okay. This flag has been bastardized. It is now a target. You might as well put a target on your back, your forehead, whatever, showing that you're a sovereign citizen. Because this flag right here, if you go to Wikipedia and put in sovereign citizen, you're going to see this flag. I promise you. If you go to policeone.com and Google sovereign citizen or put sovereign citizen in the search engine, it's going to have an article by Dr. Christine Sarcheshi. She's a extremist group expert. So much is she in demand that she's testifying in court as an expert that she refused to come on my show due to those pending testifications. In that article that she wrote, she clearly defines David Lester Straight's Freedom Bundle package. So if you're associated with any of these people who call themselves American State Nationals, you are in an extremist group. You are labeled by the Department of Homeland Security as a domestic terrorist group. I guarantee you. Y'all people don't listen. So what's David Lester Straight up to? Well, like I want to do, don't want to do, but I do. I go back and I read the record because the record is the only thing that matters. It speaks the facts of the case. So I went back to Bonnie Thomas's original divorce case where they were having a custody situation. She was ordered by the judge to surrender all her firearms over to her attorney. Well, apparently she kept one because she got busted walking in the Johnson County courthouse with a firearm and then fled. Got 5 years probation.
That's crazy.
Got 5 years probation.
They think they're above the law.
She did 4 years and 10 months of 5 years probation. Then you can see her record completely change. She fired all her attorneys and started filing all the sovereign citizen paperwork by David Lester Straight. And what happened to her? She got her probation revoked. She got sentenced to 5 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, did 16 months and got out on parole July 25th this year and went straight back to David Lester Straight. Now, what is David up to? He's running this mastermind with these Freeman Bot clowns, his two yes men, that in 12 months that you will access your minor trust. So I look forward to coming back in December because I made a video in January of this year. And December of this year, I'm going to invite all those masterminds on my show to tell me about how they access their minor trust, which they're not going to access. Because again, if you access your trust, you're not going to be selling anything on social media. You're not going to be hustling and grinding, traveling around, giving seminars. You're not going to be paying somebody to go speak at your seminar, which I can get into that too. So, what is David up to lately? Today, him and his wife. What new scam venture are they on today? Well, I have a mutual friend who used to be part of David Lester Straight's gig, and David contacted them, and Bonnie contacted them both separately with their own new little money-making scheme. You want to come join us? So I don't know what they're cooking up, but they're looking for new roads to conquer. So be careful out there who you associate with. But yeah, pretty much if you want to be a sovereign citizen, you want to target on, you want to potentially get executed on the side of the road, by all means, slap one of those flags on the back of your car.
Now, really quick, brother. Like, I was looking into Mr. Lester Straight's background, and he claims that he was ex-military, also a Secret Service officer, and and by kind of like basing his platform on these credentials, I mean, for people that that are kind of new to this sovereign citizen movement, does this seemingly add a layer of credibility as to people believing him right off the bat with these claims of being an ex-government employee?
It does. He's one of the most famous braggadocios of lies. And I busted him. I did a video on him talking about this. He said that he helped the Oklahoma Indian tribes get their land back. Well, guess what I am? Gee, Floyd, really? Floyd's a card-carrying member of the Muskogee Creek tribe. And where? Okmulgee, Oklahoma. Okay.
Oh, you got receipts.
Oh, I've got the Bureau of Indian.
Floyd always has receipts.
Yeah. So, my tribe, Oklahoma, Muskogee Creeks. Well, the case is called Jim C. McGirt versus Oklahoma. It's a Supreme Court case, and it was decided July 2 years ago. And in that case, Jim C. McGirt apparently is allegedly a serial sexual predator. So he committed these sexual offenses. So his appeal to the United States Supreme Court through whatever courts he went through to get there, his grounds were that the treaty with Oklahoma was never ratified by Congress. So the actual jurisdiction where he committed these offenses was on Indian land and not the state of Oklahoma, which was currently holding him incarcerated due to his conviction. So the Supreme Court found that, yes, Jim C. McGirt is absolutely 100% correct. He was on Indian territory, and his arguments do hold water, and they're 100% correct. And in doing so, in finding that Jim C. McGirt is granted relief and should have a new trial or new proceedings in the jurisdiction of the Muskogee Creek tribe or whatever other tribes that he committed these offenses on their land, that over 1 million acres would be returned to the Muskogee Creek tribe. That's my tribe. So now, if you just go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, anything east of the center of Oklahoma, Tulsa, that's Indian land now. That belongs to Muskogee Creek. So when David comes on and says, I helped those Indians get their land back, I'm like, oh, dude, you are so full of shit. It's ungoddamn believable. How do I know? Because I went and read the McGirt case. I mean, that's all you got to do, folks. Just go read and vet.
Yeah.
David has also been on these special raids going into the deep underground military bases to rescue those children that are being held captive down there. Yeah, David, fat ass David. Okay, with his big old gut, that guy. So,
how about Anna Von Ritz?
Anna Conright.
Sitting on the Ritz.
She is the queen of con. All right. I had a conversation today with somebody out of Anna Von Reitz's Federation of States, Texas State Assembly, which I used to be a member of. and have since rescinded, repudiated. I don't want nothing to do with her. It's American State Nationals, assemblies, none of it. None of it. So, my opinion, this woman is funded by an alphabet agency or an NGO. I'm just going to throw out some examples. These may or may not be applicable. Clinton Foundation, Soros Foundation, Bill Gates Foundation, Booz Allen Hamilton, any one of these companies like that that work for government contracts that aren't really, government, but they're former government employees. So that's who's funding her, taking care of her, and keeps her insulated from getting caught up, because anybody who says they're the fiduciary of the United States, well, that's a title she doesn't own. It's not applicable. Her husband, James C. Belcher, a convicted sex offender. We haven't seen this guy in 5 years. Haven't seen a picture of him. Haven't seen him in person. Never heard him speak. He's just this ghost, this figment of imagination that Anna von Reitz keeps putting up here. For all we know, he got ate by a polar bear, and he doesn't even exist. She's running her. So, yeah. So I got involved.
Polar bear.
Yeah, and I stayed involved with them for a year, because how I got into the whole Anna con is I was hearing about American State Nationals, and I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And I really didn't know about it. Never heard of Anna von Reitz. So I'm in Galveston at my friend's house. She needs a new patio chair because it rusted through, because she's right on the seawall. Home Depot down the street doesn't have one. So I got to drive to Texas City from Galveston to Lowe's to go get a matching chair. So on the way, I go pull over to HEB, go in, get me some lunch, and I cross the freeway, go over to Lowe's. We all know how big the Lowe's parking lot is, right? Well, I meander almost to the other side, park, get out, start walking in. I glance at this truck, and I see a license plate that says American State National. I'm like, and the peace flag. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like looking at the truck, and I go, and it's an old beat up pickup truck, and it's a construction truck. And I'm like, why is a national in a work truck? Why is he working? Didn't make sense to me. Nationals are supposed to be free. They don't have to work. So I'm like, I can either go in and look for this guy and probably never find him, or I can sit here and wait. Luckily, 10 minutes later, a little Hispanic guy walked out, introduced myself. Boom, 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 boom. We got this meeting. Here's a number. You can call in. Blah, blah. So called in, I think Tuesday or Wednesday night meeting, listened to all these people talk about, hey, we want to set up Texas, or, corrupt corporate government, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh my God, these people are singing music to my ears, man. Great. I finally found them. So I got involved and listened and, made myself heard and found out who all the movers and shakers were. Eventually got elected to justice. So once I got elected to justice, I'm like, well, let me go see what kind of authority and power I really have, because I know the machinations of the criminal justice system and the judicial system. So I can run this, no problem. I Googled justice for the state's assemblies or something like that, and boom, Colorado 9 pop up. Bruce Doucette serving 29 years in Colorado prison for doing exactly what I was thinking about doing. I was like, oh, what am I doing?
Back up, right?
Yeah. What am I really doing? Who are these people affiliated with?
What's going on?
Yeah. So now I go like, who the hell's Anna von Reitz? So I start listening to her Monday night seminars or webinars. Come to find out she's a dictator and a tyrant. People were complaining about how she was spending the donations, and I'm quoting almost word for word. Y'all don't tell me how to spend the money or the donations. I'll spend it however I want, and y'all can all just go to hell. I swear to God.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I was just appalled. I was like,
wow.
Really? People
wow.
Yeah, so it really started turning me off to her, to the point where, who is this woman? So I did my own investigation, and when I started getting information that was, not good at all, I started sending it to our state coordinator. Well, I didn't know it at the time, but Eric Dingus, who was Anna von Reitz's hand-picked peacekeeping task force officer, who was traveling around the country on his own dime in his own car, surfing people's couches, he was doing his own investigation, because when he was told, hey, so and so needs help in Arizona or Utah with this situation, can you go fix it? He would go and he would try to fix it. Well, he was getting interference from Anna or somebody associated with Anna, like Harold Hines or one of those clowns. And so he started doing his investigation. Well, we're both sending emails and text to Kim Reynolds, who was our state coordinator at the time. And Kim's sending stuff to Anna Von Wright's, emailing it, but she doesn't tell either one of us what she's doing with any of us. Everything's like a dead drop. We just send it and, really rarely hear anything back. So Anna starts tarred and feathering Eric on the Monday night webinar because the recording secretary, Kyle Worley, started a rumor on a state national recording secretary conference call that Eric had slept with Richard Anthony's wife, Kimberly Wright, while Eric was staying with them, helping them remodel Kim's mother's house to put on the market to sell, which is 100% bullshit because I know the Wrights, Kim and Anthony, and man, they are a solid couple. Nothing's coming between them. So I was just like, what the hell? And then she started calling Eric, massacring his last name, Dingus, and talking about how, that represents the penis and all this. I'm like, where's this woman? Where's her head at? Oh, yeah. I mean, if you really, really follow this woman, she is like in a space cadet. She's way the hell out there. So basically it's her way, no way. Yeah. So the call I got today was from another person in the assembly who asked the right question and got tarred and feathered and kicked out of the assembly. And that's what happens when you ask the right questions. You get, castigated in the open forum in front of everybody, and then you're kicked out. You're excommunicated, and nobody wants to associate with you. And then when you try to go save other people, because now you've got more information from people like me are telling you, oh, well, you didn't know she was registered for Planned Parenthood in New York. Most people don't know that. Most people don't know that she wrote in her own book that she has a blood oath with the Vatican, with the Pope.
Oh, that's beautiful.
She wrote it in her own book.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, right. Planned Parenthood, the Vatican.
Wow.
2 + 2 =
She's
4.
she's classic cult leader. What you say, George?
That's an inherent contradiction, a blood oath with the Pope in terms of like protecting the lives of the unborn and supposedly supporting Planned Parenthood. What the fuck? And Floyd, I just gotta say, after listening to the amount of research and personal investment that you've done to not only understand the grift, but also to expose the grift. I was wondering, and maybe you can kind of explain this really quick because, I want to honor your time, but what are the psychological and perhaps financial impacts that you undergo, as you take on this mission of exposing fraud? How do you manage potential burnout, your personal safety risk, and the high cost of follow-up with investigation? And how do you ensure your own well-being while maintaining the integrity of your efforts? Because I just got to say, Floyd, you got some big motherfucking cojones, bro. Fuck
Hey,
yeah.
I earned the name.
Hold on just a second. Kathy, I guess you're talking about Floyd. Kathy says he hasn't proven anything, to only talking. Well, you just got to go to his channel because we don't have time to show you all of Floyd's receipts. Floyd swims in receipts.
I have a playlist of just Anna videos. Okay. When I was talking to this young lady earlier today, and she's telling me the story, and I'm like, sorry, darling, I've heard this same story dozens of times. Okay. Mainly from state coordinators, who somebody asked them to ask a question, they ask it, and then they reap the just desserts for asking the wrong question. So for me, I've done almost 18 years flat in Texas prisons. I've, been in prison riots. I've lived with one of the most prolific serial killers in the state of Texas. They've, tried to bury me in prison, double door solitary isolation. They did everything they could to me. And I'm just at the point where I've just given everything over to God. I tried to do it my way for 40 years and it didn't work. I was a failure. I had shit tons of fun, great memories, a lot of nightmares, but it got me to the point where I'm at. And I challenge anybody. I challenge all my trolls. Listen, man, if you got an issue with me personally, we can take this up. I'll pay for your round trip airfare to Houston, Texas, back to your house, transportation, lodging, meals, whatever it takes. Bring your gloves and mouthpiece. Go to LA Fitness at Hollister and Tidwell. Go up to the counter and tell them you need Floyd Tarvin to come up there, and I'll be up there in 5 minutes with my mouthpiece and gloves. We'll go in the gym. We'll turn on YouTube Live, and we'll go for however many rounds you want to go to her, for however many how many seconds you want to go per round, and we'll go till best man walks out. That's how I handle that. As far as my own personal safety and my own general area, I live in a gated community. And I promise you, if you make it inside this gated compound and you get even close to my house, I'm going to know about it. If I do, I don't have to have a weapon to use deadly force. Okay? Because when you're in prison, weapons aren't handy things, and not everybody has one in their back pocket. So you've got to be able to fight and finish a fight in less than 10 seconds. Because that's about how long fights last in prison. So if you can't finish a fight in 10 seconds, it's generally going to get broke up. So you better get in there and take that person down 5 seconds, and you better start disabling them in the next 5 seconds. That's how I fight. There are no rules. I'm going to try to bite your nose off, your ears, any flesh I can. I'm going to try to poke your eyes out. I'm going to squeeze your balls, kick your balls. I'm going to disable you. I want you crippled. I want you balled up on the ground where you cannot move. That's what I do.
Yeah, because it's, kill or be killed, isn't it?
It is, actually.
I want to address this. Can a blood oath be broken? Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it can be broken.
Now let's get into Anna's next move. And she did this while I was part of her assembly when she wanted to set up a bank. So Kim Reynolds said on our little weekly meeting, hey, does anybody know a good facility that we could use for a standalone bank? Well, I used to be in real estate. Boom, blah, 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 blah. Boom, found the perfect one. Abandoned 2-story bank building with, I think it had 18 teller windows to drive through. Perfect building, right by the old FBI building on the North Loop West, on the freeway, easy access. So I said, here it is, man. Here's pictures of it. Here's, the leasing information, blah, 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 blah. Well, Anna's not ready for it yet. Well, after I left, she hooked up with Hunter Akey. They have established this whatever bank, Blue Dot Bank, whatever the hell it is. That's all a scam, folks. Okay. One of 2 volunteers that worked on that bank project with Anna and Hunter has since contacted me, because they all do. They eventually find me. Once they get out of there, they start doing their homework like, oh, who's this Floyd guy? What's he talking? Oh, my God. He's addressing everything. And they call me up, and then they tell me their story. I hear it over and over and over. And I've done a profile that some people have emptied out their life savings, their 401k, redeemed their life insurance policies, and put all this money in Anna's bank thinking they're going to come up. And they've just lost everything. They're not getting it back. That's gone. I tell everybody, go try to get it back now. Can't get it back. When they ask for a forensic audit of the bank account, guess what happened to them? Hello? Oh, you were in the bank with Anna. I'm so sorry. that's how that ends up. I hate to say it. That's how that ends up. Okay. So these people here, they're grifting, they're conning, they're lying. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Can David Lester Straight tell a good story? Absolutely. He's a fantastic
They all
storyteller.
can.
Yeah, great
They all
storyteller.
can.
Same thing with Anna von Reitz. Okay. She's a great orator of historical facts. Most of it is good. Some of it, a little iffy. Thought you could do your own research. But that's where she gets you because guess what? You don't want to go research all of that vast information that she continues to publish. And believe me, one little old lady sitting in Big Lake, Oklahoma cannot generate all the information that she generates. Sometimes she does an article per day.
Mm-mm.
And so she has a team of ghostwriters that do all this stuff and they send her the articles. If you watch her sometimes on her webinar, she'll be talking about, one of these articles and she really doesn't comprehend what's in the article. You can tell she's stumbling. She's reading it for the first time. So, yeah, that's Anna von Reitz. Don't invest in her bank. Just another liar full of shit. But I wanted to go back and address Kathy Rennick because Kathy seems to be a doubter. And you ask, is that Fearless Floyd's site asking for $79? Yes, I'm asking $79 for Ann LaFleur's PMA class. And I tell you what, Kathy, this is how Fearless Floyd rolls. I'll put you in that class for free and see what you think about it. And you come out and you come on my show live and tell us all about your experience in Ann LaFleur's PMA class for $79. And I'll even sweeten the pot, darling, and I'll give you Ann LaFleur's On Trust book for free if you take me up on my offer. Because I put my money where my mouth is. I don't play, girl. You can sit here and make all the accusations you want. I've been through the fire. I got the scars on the soles of my feet. You don't have to believe anything I say. You can sit here and naysay all you want. Oh, wah this, wah that. Listen, girl, I get phone calls from Australia, New Zealand, UK, Canada, all over the world, people telling me all kind of things. And I tell everybody, if you want something sent and buried where nobody will ever see it, send it to me because it's going to end up in my files and I don't have time to look at it. And it'll be here when you get back. I promise you. And nobody will have. Yeah.
Everyone says, keep doing the research and you'll run from her.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to go digging. I trust what Floyd says because I know that he has outed a lot of them.
Yeah. Here's another one. Scam Anderson. That's his new name. He's no longer Sam. He is Scam Anderson, a.k.a. J-Boy.
Scam Anderson.
J-Boy Productions. I changed it on the website. This guy.
I've seen this guy. Doesn't he do currency reevaluation, otherwise known as LV?
Yep. Except he's got everybody conned where if you do not have a contract with Iraq that you cannot exchange the currency, just a bunch of fallacy bullshit. He conned his people into sending him $75 to go buy some Zimbabwe $1 trillion notes, and that his wife was going to go exchange them. And then when she did the exchange, that she would disperse the funds to all the members who gave their $75 for him to go buy their currency so they could go exchange.
And this is based off of a theory that there's some kind of conflict or war going on between white hats and the cabal.
If you want to get into that,
yes.
But anyway, let me cover the latest thing with what Sam Anderson does. Okay, Sam Anderson has this little cult. He brainwashed these folks. Most of them are senior citizens who really don't know any better. They're just doing what Sam does, and I'm sure there are a bunch of young buck eager beavers as well. So they have their own private telegram room. They have the orange hats room, and then they have the red hats room. And this is where they all assembled to go attack gurus, hosts, co-hosts, guests, anybody talking about the revaluation, Great Reset, Jubilee, whatever you want to call it, revaluation, currency reset, BRICS. If it didn't fit into what Sam was saying, then they would go on the platform, I'll just use me as an example. Go onto my YouTube show when I would be interviewing a guest that would be talking about currency. They would start attacking the guests in the show, the host, the other members in the chat, talking shit, oh, they're lying. They would steal other people's icons and use those because they don't have the balls, or they don't have the honor and integrity to come out and be transparent of who they really are. So they come out.
Asymmetrical digital warfare.
Yeah. And that's called cyber
using
stalking.
anonymity.
Yeah. So when I called them all out on it and they actually saw the error of their ways, they were like very repentant. They sent me apology letters, emails, texts. They even went on Mark Z's show and posted in his chat, apologizing to him and his audience. So there's a lot of social media people out there who are very grateful for what I did all on my own. Nobody asked me to do this. Nobody asked me to take on Sam Anderson. And the reason I took him on before is because in some video, he posted in the comments this just insane statement. And I went in and was like, oh my God, this guy's a clown. I can't even believe he said this. This is just so inaccurate and such a bad mark on the community for somebody to be putting this misinformation out there. So I clowned him in this post. So my next show, they all came and ganged up on me. So I was like, what the hell's the deal here? So I decided to contact Sam Anderson. I contacted him. We had a conversation. I invited him to come on my show. I named my show Eating Crow with J-Boy. Absolutely. Go look it up because I'm a man of honor. Anybody and everybody's welcome to come on my show anytime. Okay. I will make time to put you on my show. Absolutely. That's why you don't see very many guests that come on here. And there's a bunch of them out there who y'all would like to have on my show, but they ain't coming. Why? Because they can't tell the truth. That's why. Because they know I'm going to ask them and they know they can't tell me and they're going to look like a fool. So he's grifting these people and get them to do this and get them to do these, what's called cyber stalking. Okay. My show's based in Houston, Texas. So I'm under Texas law. Sam Anderson is based in Fort Worth, Texas. He's under Texas law. So every time he goes onto a social media platform and instructs or advises anyone to go attack a social media host on social media, that's cyber stalking. That's a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. If 2 or more people do it, or 3 or more over a period of time, so let's say they go hit me, then they go hit Mark on his 6 o'clock show, that's a criminal street gang. That's a federal RICO and a state RICO under the Texas. Okay, why?
And I'm sure that it's similar to in other states, isn't it? Similar policies and rules, wouldn't you say?
I would say Georgia has adopted the federal RICO statutes word for word. I did that when I went and studied Trump's RICO case. So I go read the law because law is the only thing that matters. And then I go read the facts of the case if there's a record that exists. That's how I go vet people and study people. What really happened. I know what your story is. That's your story. I need to go read the facts. Well, that's why I go break stuff down and try to find out as much as possible. He also uses his son's Little League baseball team or league as another conduit for soliciting funds. Like, oh, we need to buy bats. So, people out of the goodness of their heart, oh, yeah, we want to support him and, and the kids, which is an admirable thing to do. I'm not saying don't do that. But if somebody's doing it and they're not actually out buying bats, they're over here buying firearms, or they're over here secretly soliciting their members to do straw firearm purchases for them. Why do you need somebody to do a straw purchase for a firearm for you if you're not doing something illegal? Because that is illegal. And this is what these folks do.
Exactly.
They get you one-on-one, and they start pressuring you to get you to do what they want. And they try to prevent you from talking to other folks in the group because they want to isolate you and they want to milk you for everything they can. And there are people that this guy right here, Scam Anderson, has put living in their cars or taking their very last dollar that they needed for medication. And some of them even had to put off getting some type of medical procedure because they sent their funds to Sam Anderson. That's how big of a piece of shit he
Yeah.
is.
Huge. Yeah, I was there with you when when the cult members bum rushed you, and it's really weird that all they need is just a little bit of incentive and they will come in like drones, like and hone in on you and then just start attacking. I've seen it. It's gross.
Yeah.
And it happens
And
a
then,
lot.
and this is how stupid Scam Anderson is. Okay. I'm in his Telegram room. Okay. So I'm watching the attack. I'm watching all the posts all the way down to the time when he actually came. I invited him. Okay. During my show, there's all this disruption going on in my chat that I really don't know about. Buffy's handling. And I'm kind of seeing stuff pass on the bottom while I'm trying to do my interview in my show. And I'm like, J-Boy, what the hell's J-Boy doing in my chat? He has my cell phone number. Why wouldn't he call me if he wants to come on my show? Why is he in their chat? So I'm thinking, oh, it's an imposter. It's a troll. So let me find out if this is the real J-Boy, because I don't want to, start no shit where there ain't no shit. So I text him. You want to come on the show? Is that you? Yeah. You want to come on the show? Yeah. Okay, come on the show. Say your piece. So I'll let him come on, say his piece, and then they're all over here applauding him in the Telegram room. Oh, you clown Floyd, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. All of that meets the elements of cyber stalking under Texas statutes. Okay? All of that.
Yes, it does.
I've got it all documented. I've got screenshots of him bragging how he attacked Mark Z, how he attacked me, with his pseudonym Skefla. Yes, I have all the evidence to lock this dude up for a long time. I'm going to make sure that he goes to jail.
Yes, you do.
Houston, Texas, North Carolina, Puerto Rico, and wherever else that he has been attacking these hosts, wherever their jurisdiction is. I'm going to go find out the laws there, and I'm going to make up a binder on this clown, and I'm going to put his ass away in state and federal and territorial prisons. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And you're teaching the rest of us, me especially, how to bring these people to justice who have no rights to come onto your channel, or you send emails, to go on social media and badmouth people. That's just
Let me
We're
play
learning
this.
how we can take care of it.
Yeah, let me play this for you real quick, Buffy.
Okay. All right, you'll have to do a screen share.
Yeah.
I want to say hi to Ariel. Ariel, I made you a mod, sweetie. I hope that's okay.
All right. This is the Weekend Warrior channel, Real Weekend Warrior on BitChute. And this is Phil Godlewski, Gold Co. that sells overpriced collector coins. Okay? So y'all listen to this very carefully, please. Let me blow it up for you.
The sound's off.
Well, shortly after the
I did sleep with a minor.
Well, shortly after this post, if I'm thinking of when it was, my viewership and subscribers went from about 7 or 8 million to 17 or 18.
Phil, you reported recently, a couple months back, 2 months back, I think it was, that you're now worth $50 million. Do you remember that post?
At the time, yes.
Yeah. Is that true?
At that time?
Yeah.
Yes.
And are you worth more than that now?
Yes.
Okay. How much are you worth now?
Objection. 75 and 100 million.
And where's all this money coming from?
Objection. It's coming from having 17 and 18 million subscribers, launching businesses that help those subscribers succeed, and in which also help me financially, of course. It comes from having 17 or 18 million people watching me, being paid from Rumble, getting advertising contracts for that. It's a lot of money.
Do you get a 1099 from Rumble?
Yes.
And you get a 1099 from Locals?
Yes.
And I thought I saw in Locals you had about 35,000 subscribers.
On Locals.
Right. Okay. And how much do they pay per month for their subscription?
$15.
Okay. So what do you get on average per month from Locals?
Objection.
The amount differs because the subscribers go up and down. I sent you that actually.
On average
50 to 75,000
per month.
Yes.
This is the George Magazine article.
Have you seen ghettos?
What?
Have you?
There you go, folks.
That was a sworn deposition.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could only be so lucky, huh?
So gross.
What blows me away is if one isn't being honest in a sworn deposition, what more when they're not beholden to a sworn deposition when they go about their business with other people?
Well, that's why that's why we're fighting this, because this shit happens all the time. People are getting taken advantage of. People are desperate. People need help. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
All right, let's move on. Here's
Hang on,
Melanie Graris.
Let me explain the con that Phil's doing real quick before we get into Melanie, because you're going to be mainly talking about Melanie. The con that Phil Godlewski is doing, okay, is he came out with the whole QAnon movement, and allegedly he's connected as an intel officer. He won't say what branch he is. He's also said he's a graduate from Harvard, which that is a lie. You can go vet that yourself. Just call the school. They've never heard of him. But he hooked up with this Felix guy with Gulco. Gulco's a precious metals dealer. So basically what they did is they just took an everyday American Eagle that you can go down to your local coin shop and buy, and they sold it for triple spot price, calling it a collector coin. So when somebody, and he's telling everybody, oh, the banks are fixing to collapse, and, he's using all the statistics that we're all seeing and we're all waiting for it to pop anyway, but he's using this as a linchpin to get these people terrified that they're fixing to lose all their money and their pension or their 401k, and they need to invest it in precious metals because metals, never lose their value, and the metal prices are going up. So he just selling this, everyday silver eagle for like 90 or $100. So the two additional spot prices on top of the spot price, one goes to Felix, one goes to Phil. So every time somebody buys a coin, Phil's making $20 on that coin. So if somebody's, divesting their entire life savings, which, could be 100,000 or even $1 million, you can see how he became, a multimillionaire in quick fashion. That's the scam that he's using, but he's basing it on, he's an intel officer and he's providing intel, all the clues, the Jamaica, this connection, that connection. And people go freaking bananas over, is he wearing a hat? What's on his hat? What's on his shirt? What did he say? Where did he say he was going to go? And, they're trying to connect all these.
How many times did he say it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, how do you people have this much time in your day to, digest and divest all this crap? Because it's all garbage. It's meaningless. But that's his hook to get people in there. And I tell everybody, listen, if you have classified intel information in the United States of America and you leak it in the public, especially on social media, and you're profiting from it, your ass is going to be like Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning. I can go on and on and on. All these other intel officers who are currently doing time in federal prison or out on bond or in pending litigation, because nobody leaks intel. It doesn't happen. They will lock your ass up. So that's Phil G. That's what he's doing. Kathy seems to be the naysayer. Let's post that up there. Why do you care about Phil G? Never heard him say all that crap. Put that up there. All right,
It's
Kathy.
up.
You seem to be the naysayer in the group. So I'm going to urge you that everything I say, you need to go vet. You need to go do your own homework before you're posting all this over here. Because if I said he said it, he said it. Because you know why, Kathy? Find me another person on social media that's going to put a Bible up to their hand and swear, tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but truth, so help me God. Find one, anyone, and you bring them to me. You're not going to. Phil G's not going to do it. Scam Anderson's not going to do it. Lone Wolf's not going to do it. Christopher Hauser's not going to do it. None of them. None of them. I'll invite you to my show, Kathy. You can come on my show, and we can have a nice little discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how.
Kathy, I think Floyd wants to talk to you because you have a lot to say. So you should
you
contact
have a
Floyd.
lot you don't know or that you're doubting. Okay, because
Yeah.
trust me, girlfriend, I could be watching Mark Z right now. You know what? I'm on this live video trying to save one person a day because that's my goal. If I save one person a day, I wake up in the morning, I got a thank you email, text, or whatever. I did my job, and I will be blessed for the rest of the day. That's how I roll. Okay.
Stay tuned because George is going to give us a psychological breakdown on these cults and why people are so quick to defend these cult leaders.
It's insane.
It's insane. It is insane. All right, let's move on. We got to move on. Okay, we're good because we're going on an hour and 20 minutes. Okay, so Melanie Brewer's voice just get warmed up. So Melanie, I've done two. I'm working on the part 3 of this woman who I managed to allow to get into my brain and brainwash me, and I had no idea the types of spells I was under until like a year and a half later, and I found out she went to jail, and then something just kind of clicked in my brain, like, oh wow, she still has power over me. So if you want to learn about that, it's on my channel. We're moving on. So we're just on part 2 now. We have 10 of these to go through, everyone. Now, number 2. Cults tend to be secretive and isolated from the outside world with little transparency about their beliefs, practices, and inner workings. So that's something that we're going to be looking at. Now, this right here is like, okay, how do I know, that I've kind of tripped into a cult or whatever? So what you can do is you can say, well, is it Telegram? Is it Discord? Is it a Facebook group? Is it cliquish? That's another reason. That's another thing to look for, is how cliquish it can be too as well. So I'm talking about Reddit groups, Facebook groups. George, help me out. What other kind of groups can we see this type of behavior in? With the online especially.
Yeah, those are some great points that you bring up in terms of the social media aspect. But I was thinking that the individuals who are prone into unknowingly falling into a cult, it's usually characterized by a gradual and, say, deceptive process. And initially, they may be drawn to a charismatic leader or to an appealing vision of belonging, purpose, or personal growth. And cults, they often begin by offering some kind of support, a feeling of community, a new sense of identity. And, it's enticing to those people that are usually feeling isolated and vulnerable. But over time, and, here's the caveat, that, these individuals, they start to become more involved into the groupthink, and they're subjected to various manipulative tactics like isolation from outside influences, emotional manipulation, and you mentioned social media here, but there's usually a controlled flow of information that these cult leaders or these cult groups do. And these methods, which include social media, it serves the purpose of eroding the individual's ability to think critically, and it increases their dependence on the group, and it makes them difficult for them to recognize the truly harmful nature of the cult and to then escape its influence.
Yeah, it does. It really, really does. Because you kind of start to get tunnel vision and you don't realize that you're in a cult. Before you know it, you're like, you're in a cult. So let's go. What else we got, Floyd? We're going to have to come back to Simply Lynn because Floyd kind of dipped out there for a minute. So we will definitely come back to Simply Lynn. So I wanted to talk about the cult of oh, there he is. Let's go back. Okay, Floyd, let's talk. Okay, we're coming to Simply Lynn. Now, I added Simply Lynn because I feel like Simply Lynn's a cult because if I ask any questions at all to push back, they put me in timeout. They say, you don't do this, you don't do that. You're not allowed to ask questions. And then if you talk during prayer time or when she says you're not supposed to talk, you'll get banned from her channel. So I just wanted everybody watching to be aware that this is a cult leader. Absolutely. Do you have anything to say about her, Floyd?
I do not. I don't know that much about her.
Okay. I have noticed that some of your followers in the comments have talked about Lynn being very much a cult and the cult behaviors that surround her live streams. Okay, so now we're going to go to the Reddit group. Oops. The Reddit group of Amin Hillman. I helped start this. When I was asked to join and help, there was less than 300 members. And then after I left the cult of Amin Hillman, every time I'd post something, I'd get in trouble, and it was not against the rules at all. At all. It was not. So then they banned me, and what got me banned was posting about the Orphic Gnostics by Charles King, who is a Greek classicist. So I guess they did not like what I had to say. I didn't actually say it. I just shared a video of a reading of a part of his book, Charles King's book, which talked about the Orphic Gnostics. And so, yeah, they made sure that they hurry up and they got rid of me. Why? Because I cause people to question what is going on. And that is why I wanted to make this video, so that people will question if they are in a cult or not, if they are in a group that has the potential to stir things up and cause harm to other people. Archaics, who has lots of followers, I think he's a promoted. I mean, there could be all kinds of online cults that are being funded, paid to be ran. Absolutely, especially during voting season, because what happens during voting season, everything pops up in voting season, right? All right, so let's talk about 4chan. I'm going to read this, what it says about 4chan, and if you've never heard of 4chan, you should really look into 4chan. 4chan is an anonymous English-speaking image board website launched by Christopher Moot Poole in October 2003. The site hosts boards dedicated to a wide variety of topics from video games and television to literature, cooking, weapons, music, history, anime, fitness, politics, and sports, among others. Registration is not available and users typically post anonymously. As of 2022, 4chan receives more than 22 million unique monthly visitors, of which approximately half are from the United States. So I'm going to say about 4chan, and then I'm going to let George tell us the dangers of 4chan. Is Ghislaine Maxwell come from 4chan? Okay, what do you have to say, George?
I'd say part of the appeal and lasting stay of 4chan, obviously the appeal of it is the anonymity factor. There's a lack of user registration, and this anonymity attracts users who want to express themselves freely without fear of personal repercussions. And This can foster an open discussion on a wide range of topics. And, another part of the appeal is this freedom of expression, because there's minimal moderation that allows for a broad spectrum of ideas. And it includes controversial and fringe viewpoints. And the appeal in this is that it attracts those who are seeking a space for unfiltered discussion. And one of the things that, I find interesting about 4chan, a lot of it could be dribble, but 4chan is notorious for also propagating stories that, hey, there might have been actually something to it. It's an edgy kind of, it's been described as the sewer of the internet. It's super edgy. You got various different types of channels on there, but it has a lasting stay and presence across the internet.
It is a place to gather and to communicate with people. And like I said, Ghislaine Maxwell came from 4chan too. So we know those types of things are possible. So what I did is I have a Google document I'm going to add to this video. I'm going to send to Floyd that he can add in his description of the video as well. I strongly suggest you go and read that article about 4chan. All right, here is another one that is a bit more deep. This is Kiwi Farms. Kiwi Farms, formerly known as CWCKI Forums, is a web forum that facilitates the discussion and harassment of online figures and communities. Their targets are often subject to organized groups trolling and stalking, as well as doxing and real-life harassment. These actions have tied Kiwi Farms to the suicides of 3 people targeted by members of the forum. Kiwi Farms is like a gathering place, isn't it? It could be both. Ashura's Orchard, it could be. So what do you know about Kiwi Farms, George?
Well, see, what I know about Kiwi Farms, I'm more concerned about the ethical concerns. As you've said and described, it's unapologetic about publishing private and sensitive information about people. And the result of this is that it leads to emotional and psychological harm for those that are targeted. With those 3 people that off themselves, I mean, it must have been an intense kind of thing for them to go through. And I wonder about the legal and safety issues, the practices that Kiwi Farms and sites like this that promotes doxing and whatever. How does this not lead to some kind of legal repercussion, including potential violations of harassment and privacy laws? What about the safety risks, the exposure of personal information, which leads to stalking and other criminal activities? And what does it also say about its reputation, as well as the responsibility that it has for effectuating a safe space? If at that, the reputation of this controversial and, questionable content that it promotes, it kind of reflects poorly on communities and platforms such as this. It raises the question for me about the responsibility of the operators of the site, including moderation of content and protecting users from abuse. I mean, does it show who actually owns this particular website?
It is a Joshua No Moon is what it says. And I do have a video, I want to see, that I will attach. This is what happens if you go after Kiwi Farms. You cannot attack Kiwi Farms politically, legally, I guess. Yeah. So this one girl's attacking Kiwi Farms. Now, I don't think that she has a stand to do so, but that doesn't mean that not everyone would have a reason to attack kiwi farms. So I'm going to attach that as well too. Let's go on to the mind control. Cults use various tactics to manipulate and control members' thoughts, emotions, behaviors, including repetitive indoctrination, using the same thing, speaking the same things over and over and over again. That's what Melanie did to me. And now I can't even stand to hear anyone say, but at the end of the day, because she said that all the time, among other things. Social pressure, right? You are that that is that hive mind too. That plays into the hive mind. Psychological abuse, you're kind of bullied, or they use a lot of peer pressure. And isolation from family and friends, that's another thing. They seem to want to keep you from having good relationships with your physical people. That's what I've noticed about the online ones, the online cults. They encourage you to leave a partner or leave your family. So what do you all have to say?
I'd say when they kind of pressure or manipulate you to leave your close loved ones, what takes its place? Do they engage in some kind of fucked up hazing ritual where they're going to record you on camera doing some fucking butt stuff with a goat,
Right.
as it's part of their initiation. And then it's like they use this as potential leverage, as a threat in case you express thoughts of leaving. It's like, hey, remember that ritual that we had you do with the goat? If you want to leave us, then this fucking shit is going to be public.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really insidious, in that way. What takes the place of the cult making you leave your family and friends that don't buy into the messaging, right? What takes its place? So usually there's a form of a deceptive practice in some way, shape, or form that goes on that not only they use to recruit, but to retain its membership. That's the shit you got to be fucking mindful of.
Exactly. And here's my little gift, y'all. Do you all like it? This is exactly what the cult does. I tried to make it simple and easy to see, but effective. The cult, the wedge, this crack, this is the foundation. This is what cults do to any relationship. If your partner, if your people are not down with the cult stuff, this happens. This right here is what happens. All right, number 4, exploitation. Now this is talking about the hazing. Cults often exploit members financially, sexually, or emotionally and may demand absolute loyalty and obedience. That's scary too. That's something to really look out for. That is not going to be right in your face at the beginning at all, is it? It's going to be something. These are things you're kind of gradually stepped into when you are looking at cults.
I agree.
Both going, yeah. Okay, so here's hazing. I want everybody to really pay attention to this. This is really important. It's a form of initiation, beasting, bastardization, raging, disposition. Refers to any activity expected of someone to join or participate in a group that humiliates, degrades, abuses, or endangers them, regardless of a person's willing to participate. Hazing is seen in many different types of social groups, including gangs, sports teams, schools, cliques, universities, law enforcement, military units, prisons, fraternities, and sororities, and even workplaces in some cases. I dare say, like, the bigger companies, the bigger you get, like Amazon and whatever, those types of companies probably do this too. The initiation rites can range from relatively benign pranks to protracted patterns of behavior that rise to the level of abuse and criminal misconduct. Okay. Hazing is often prohibited by law or institutions such as colleges and universities because it may include either physical or psychological abuse, such as humiliation, nudity, and sexual abuse. Hazing activities have sometimes caused injuries or deaths. Have you all seen that movie? The Skulls is about Skull and Crossbones at Harvard. So, have you all
Yale,
seen
Yale,
Hazing? I've
Yale,
seen it. Yale.
Yale.
Oh, Yale. Okay.
Skull and Bones is Yale.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
supposedly, that was
everybody is
also
Yale.
the
Okay.
same fraternity that George Bush Sr. was part of, where they drink out of the fucking skull of Geronimo. I mean, some wacky shit.
Both Bushes, John Kerry. There have been a lot of Skull and Bones.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. And this is dangerous and illegal, just to let you know. Okay, dogmatic beliefs. Cults typically have rigid, unchangeable beliefs and practices that are enforced through fear and intimidation. So just be mindful if you're just kind of going along while you're in these online groups. Do you all have anything to add to this about the dogmatic beliefs?
No, that's, right on time. Isolation, I would throw in there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Vince, let's see what Vince say. A lot of these guys get a taste of cash and can't resist drifting. Low human. Yes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I believe that, Vince. Okay, Firecracker. I disagree with they encourage you. People are learning about the corruption and their families are rejecting them, so they go to Telegram for comfort and learning. Some stay glued to the chat. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of things going on that we run to these groups and we seek solace. But is that real? Is that tangible? And is it lasting? Does it have the potential to disrupt a lot of factors in your life? Okay. Scapegoating is another thing that these cults will do is if you push back just a little bit, you've become the scapegoat. How does that work, George? Tell us more about this whole scapegoat thing in the cult.
Well, see, here's the thing. The scapegoat phenomena, it's one of their mechanisms, I'd say, that they use to control people, because cults, they're notorious for discouraging critique, as well as using, your rationality to question their tenets of belief, right? And they seek to maintain their psychological method of control through this scapegoat mechanism by putting the blame onto something else. Like if you were critical about one of their tenets, they're going to do some mental gymnastics or convince you to think otherwise, that, hey, you're wrong. And it's very subtle. There's a sophistication to that, I'd say.
That's called blame
Mm-hmm.
shifting.
Exactly.
That's the number one characteristic of an addict. Never taking responsibility, always pushing the blame to something else or somebody else.
Exactly, Floyd. And to piggyback back on that briefly, it's also, I'd say, it's a dismissal of external criticism, and they reframe it as some form of misunderstanding or malevolent intent that threatens their narrative.
Exactly.
It's messed up. Criticism of outsiders. Here we go. Cults often criticize or demonize outsiders, viewing them as inferior or evil. Yeah, it's pretty rough. Pretty rough. Yeah. You're not in the group, so you're not good enough.
Right. Or they make
Listen
stuff
more
up
to that.
about you. This is
Yeah,
why I
they're
always
like,
say, go back and read somebody's record. I tell everybody, you want to know about me, I'll tell you in my videos. But if you want to go get the quick little thing, all you got to do is go look at the public record. Everything that I've ever done criminally is in the public. That's why I don't run from anything. That's why I'm transparent. That's why I'm open, upfront about it. I try to share my experiences with you guys so you guys don't take the same path that I've taken. And I've taken a rocky road. I've not always made the wise decision. I've just made the decision out of curiosity, and I paid the price for it. So I try to share my experiences with you guys to the best of my ability, as much as I can. So you don't have to waste three things that you're not going to get back: your time, your money, and your energy. And when you expend those with a cult or a cult leader and they're wasted, you're shamed, you're embarrassed, you're confused. You don't want to get back into that same arena when actually you should get back in that arena, because you should face that challenge, because now you're always going to be fearful and you have to overcome that fear. So you're always going to have that barrier, that shield up. You're never going to want to get around that again. And I see that a lot, especially with Anabon Rights assemblies, that they get in there, they devote all this time, money, and energy, and then they get washed out, and then they don't want anything to do with any assembly, nationals, nothing. They're done. That's it. They're going to go back and live their normal life. They just don't care. They got washed out because they wasted all this time, money, and energy. And they feel bad about it, embarrassed, shamed. And they don't want to invest in another fruitless endeavor of 2 or 3 years trying to find out, oh, God dang, I'm in a cult. Shit. I just wasted all this time in the wrong place, the wrong people. Now I got to go find somebody else. Listen, folks, everybody over here on the private side, which includes the people that are IPPs, internationally protected persons, that are operating in the private, operating in trust, American state nationals, U.S. citizens, sovereign citizens, Moors, people doing all these processes, to the people in the middle that independent, that just, really don't know anything, but they hate the political machinations. They know they need to save the country. And then you got the conservatives, you got the Republicans, you've got the MAGAs, and then you got the QAnons. All of those groups of people, every single one of them, know about the trust. They know about the birth certificate bond. They know about the straw man. They know that the United States is a corporation. They know that everything's a fucking scam, and the federal government has sold them out and poisoned them and trying to kill them, and not for the benefit of humankind. Yeah, they know that.
They do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's martyrdom. I had someone that was doing the cults, naming all these cults, and I'm like, and cults of martyrdom was one of them. Some cults may encourage or glorify martyrdom, including self-sacrifice or suicide, as a mean of demonstrating devotion. That's some craziness. That's some crazy. Alyssa got blocked by Dr. Kia Pruitt, for asking questions. Yeah, you can't ask questions, honestly. Now, I'm not talking about just questions just to prove you're a smartass. I'm talking like questions that you honestly want answers to. I can see a non-cult leader helping you out, but cult leaders do not want to answer your questions. They don't want to hear your questions. They just want you to hush up. And hush up quick, because if you speak up too loud, the rest of the people in the room might hear you with your critical thinking skills and might start thinking critically as well. And this is why I feel like they want you to hush up. They want to shut you down as fast as possible. What do you all think?
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
Yep.
Since you, somebody over here brought up Dr. Kia Pruitt. I don't know what her motivation. I don't know what her motivations are. I've invited her to come on my show. She just did another show with Elizabeth, who is allegedly the heir, queen, princess, beneficiary, trustee, executor. I don't know, whatever title she decides she wants to label, over the Rodriguez estate. Did a 4-hour video. I have a mutual friend who is in contact with Elizabeth. I've sent her an invitation on Telegram to come on my show. She's read it, obviously hasn't replied to it. The mutual friend has been trying to get her to come on my show. She refuses to do. And during that time, she went back on Kia Pruitt's, did another 4-hour show with Kia Pruitt, even though I sent Kia Pruitt an email telling her that, hey, you just put a fraud on your show. And she did it again. Michelle Moore's the same way. They put people on here to create drama. Okay. I try to put people on my show because I'm curious about what they do. I want to know more. If I find something that's interesting and cool, I'm going to go find out who they are, put them on my show. If I need to know something, I'm going to call them up. I'm going to go find out who they are, get their phone number, and I'm going to have a conversation with them. That's what I do with all of them. That's how I find out all this information. That's how I met Mark Z. That's how I met Christopher Eric's Baby Trump.
See that, Floyd? You're doing proper due diligence so that you're better informed to make an opinion in regards to how you should approach whatever their claims or whatever they're espousing. Right? That's due diligence.
Yeah. And I've reached out to Michelle Moore. I've reached out to Kia Pruitt, trying to tell them, hey, man, these people you have it on your show, they're not reputable and it's sullying your show. And when they don't even reply back to me, it tells me, oh, they're doing that on purpose then, because they're not trying to remediate it and make it not happen again. So let me come over here and address a couple of these. She brought up the whole Phil G and Nick Alvear, Good Line Films, Good Line TV. If you're not familiar with Nick Alvear was the doobie smoking J6 protester. He got probation. He's out in California. He does superlative biographies and documentaries. If you have not watched any of his material, go watch him. Apparently, and Phil does not address scammers, grifters, cons, none of that. That's not what he's about. Go look at his show and his website, and you'll see that that's not his bailiwick. That's mine. He decided he wanted to confront Phil G because he was getting reports of people losing their entire life savings and being just 100% destitute because they couldn't get their money back from Phil G and the gold code after they had invested. So Nick took it upon himself to out Phil G, and he has gone on a nationwide or I'd say a worldwide campaign. Did a documentary on Phil G. I encourage you to go watch the documentary like I did and vet it for yourself. You can go do like I did and go to Pennsylvania and look up the criminal records for Phil Godlewski like I did and go read them. That's what I encourage everybody to do. Go research who these people are, what their background is, what they're really all about. What is their ulterior motive to get on here to tell you what they're telling you, or to get you to buy what they're selling, or to get you to listen to their guest host, whatever that looks like. So that's on the Phil G thing. Phil G has sued Nick Alvear. So they're going back and forth. Okay. They're playing the legal game. Nick Alvear is going to win that battle. I guarantee you. Okay. That because I know law. And that's how that's going to roll. So that's the issue with Phil G and Nick Alvear. I look forward to that playing out. I look forward to seeing more depositions because I told Nick Alvear to forensically audit his money because that's going to lead back to the fraud. Okay. So he will go to jail. May not be today, but he's definitely going to jail, go to prison. The gentleman way up here, at the very beginning, mentioned Bob Barker. So I know, bro, you've been to a private prison before. You've won those Bob Barker slides. We all know who those are. Let's see. Nick is a good dude. Nick and I have I don't think we've spoken on the phone, but we've definitely texted back and forth. We know each other. I'll get an SG on in a little while. I think that was about it that I wanted to address. But that's why Nick got involved with Phil G, because some of us really have a heart and soul, and we're empathetic and sympathetic to those that get taken advantage of and do get scammed. And when they get scammed for their entire life, and they're destitute, living in their car out on the streets, and they're a senior citizen living off Social Security, that's a scary fucking thing in this economy. That's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah, Floyd. And you know what, Floyd? I'm reading your feed, and Vince, the ShamWow guy, he says something pretty heavy duty. You know, these people, they take advantage of us because we're generous.
Yeah.
Right? Like what kind of a fucking grifter or con artist has it within them to exploit people's natural propensity to be giving and good out of the kindness of their hearts? I wouldn't even call those kinds of people a human being. They're pieces of shit.
Yeah. They're sociopaths, if not psychopaths.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what Melanie is. And right there, it says the lack of accountability, plausible deniability, right? A lot of these cult leaders have plausible deniability, and that will keep them safe from prosecution in a lot of situations.
Absolutely. Here, let me go look up, show everybody what a sociopath really is.
Yeah.
Sociopath. Sociopathy is a collective. Huh?
Go ahead. I have it pulled up for you.
Okay. Sociopathy is a colloquial term that refers to a range of antisocial behaviors and attitudes, including manipulation, deceit, aggression, and a lack of empathy for others. It is often used interchangeably with antisocial personality disorder, ASPD, or psychopathy. Key traits: impulsivity, acting on sudden urges without considering consequences; deceit, lying, cheating, or manipulating others for personal gain; lack of empathy, difficulty understanding and caring about others' feelings and perspectives; indifference to harm, showing no remorse or guilt after causing harm to others; irresponsibility, failing to honor commitments such as paying bills or keeping promises; disregard for social norms, violating laws and social rules without concern for consequences; manipulation, using charm, coercion, and other tactics to control others. Important notes: sociopathy is not an official diagnostic term in mental health literature. Instead, it is often used informally to describe individuals with antisocial personality disorder or psychopathy. Sociopathy is not the same as psychopathy. Although the two conditions share some similarities, sociopathy is often associated with environmental factors such as childhood trauma or exposure to expedient behavior, whereas psychopathy is considered an inborn condition. Not all individuals with sociopathic traits are violent or dangerous. However, they may still engage in manipulative or exploitive behavior. Treatment and management. Cognitive behavioral therapy can help individuals with sociopathic tendencies recognize and change their maladaptive behaviors. Setting clear boundaries and consequences can help protect individuals from being exploited or harmed by someone with sociopathic traits. Education and awareness about sociopathy can aid in identifying and managing relationships with individuals who exhibit these traits. Remember that sociopathy is a complex condition, and understanding its nuances is essential for the effective treatment and management. And the reason that we are doing this show is to bring you all this information because some people may not realize that they're deep inside of a cult and they just don't know how to get out, don't know who to turn to, don't know all the traits and characteristics to identify themselves as being in a cult or having a cult leader. So that's why we're doing this show. That's why we are expressing everything. That's why we have somebody here with a master's in psychology. When my daughter gets her PhD in psychology at SMU, I would love to have her on the show with you as well, George. And y'all really break it down. You think I'm a badass? Whoo, man. Wait till you meet my daughter. So with that, I will digress.
Kathy's bringing up the fact that you've been in prison now. Come on, Kathy. I mean, if you don't want to hear what he says, you can leave the channel.
Well, no, let me address that because it says, Floyd, you've been in prison, and if you know the Constitution, most crimes are trespass, not worth getting people put in prison without all the facts. So, I don't know who you're addressing about putting people in prison without all the facts. I have all the facts. I will, if you want, after we do this show, you can call me at 346-971-6999. That's my cell phone number right here. You call it, I'll answer it. I'll even answer it right now. And we can have a discussion, and then we'll do a StreamYard, and I will show you all the evidence of J-Boy, Scam Anderson, doing a direct targeted cyber stalking attack with members of his group upon my channel. Absolutely. And then I will show you my content.
Here's the thing, Floyd. What I respect about you is that you're authentic because you're transparent with, being a former inmate, right? You've served your time. But what differentiates you from others that want to hide this information about themselves when they do this con artist long kind of grift game is that you reframe it in a sense that you want to help people, that you've been on the other side of the fence. Yeah, you fucking own it. You own it, and you have nothing to hide.
Nope.
And for me, that's a lot of respect right there, because that transparency, it shows that you've been through some fucking shit. You're resilient, you're a survivor, and you have this innate capacity in you to want to help people to realize that they're being conned. I mean, what better person to learn from than somebody that's actually been through the legal system and is now using that experience and education. When you educate yourself about the legalities of protecting yourself, you've got an honorary doctorate in law from my perspective.
Absolutely.
So much respect to you,
and
Floyd.
then some. I've practiced more law than most attorneys will litigate in their entire career. It's because when you're in prison, listen, I did 14 years and 2 months flat in TDCJ from May 22nd, 2002 to April 15th, 2016. That was the day I walked out of prison, tax day. When I went to prison, the most technological phone they had was the walkie-talkie telecom phone. Okay, that was the most sophisticated phone they had. They didn't have smartphones. When I got out of prison, somebody handed me a smartphone. I was like, how do you turn it on? How do you operate this thing? And I had no clue. And then my buddy took me to an iPhone store and bought me an iPhone 6. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like a supercomputer. Yeah, that's how behind the curve I was. Yeah, it was ridiculous. Yeah, it was really a curve to go up. But I could sit here and go through all the stuff I've been through. Just all you got to do is just Google my full name, Floyd Pleasant Harvin IV. You'll see just a scintilla of the litigation that I've done. And I tell everybody, there's no way that I could do that same litigation outside here in the world because there's too many distractions that I did in there, because I was in there, I was just focused. Whenever I got a new cellie, I would look at him, tell him, hey man, I'm a writ writer. If you don't want to be in this cell with me because I'm in the house constantly, if I'm not here, I'm in the law library, or otherwise I'm in here typing. So if you can't handle that, you need to go talk to the shift lieutenant, tell him you're in Tarvin's cell, and you need to get a cell change before you move in the house. Because once you move in, it's going to be difficult for you to get out. And they'd be like looking at me like, huh? And I could hear my neighbors, yeah, man, he's always in the house, never leaves. He's always doing legal work. You better go get that cell change now. They'd be like, huh, okay. And they'd go get a cell change. And then I'd have to get a cellie that could deal with me doing legal work 24/7. That's all I did. I was looking for a specific avenue to get out aside from the traditional methodology that you would use on direct appeal or state post-conviction, federal post-conviction, writ of certiorari, Supreme Court, actual innocence claim, or a wrongful conviction claim. So I had to go outside of all those traditional tiers to get out of prison. So I went and found in the Texas Health Safety Code that I could file a writ of habeas corpus for emergency protective custody for chemical dependency treatment, because the Texas Department of Criminal Justice will not give you chemical dependency treatment while you're incarcerated until you make parole. So if you're like me, you had to wait 7.5 years to come up for parole. Then I had to be granted parole, which happened 7 years later, after 7 years of set-offs, 1 year set-offs. So when I finally did make parole, then they put me in a 6-month program over in Brownwood, Texas at the Havens unit. That's where I learned about blame shifting. When I was in my
Fuck yeah, Floyd, you did your research, you did your homework, and then you leveraged that education while you were in there to benefit yourself. Hell yeah.
Yeah, well, I had a choice. You know, when I got sentenced in 2002 to August 2002 to 60 years in prison, I was facing 25 to 99 or life. Okay. When I first walked in the door, first day of court, 10 years. Well, Gary, how's my video look? Well, you know, we can beat this case. Okay, go ask for 7. And I'm doing the parole math in my head. Okay, I can do 7 months on parole, pop right back out. I'll still have a relationship with my wife, and you know, I can move and act normal. So I said, Gary, go see if they'll do a 7. He came back and said, no, it's 10 today or 15 next time we come back. I said, well, let's crank this bitch up. Let's go to trial. So that's what we decided to do. So I went in the next time for my next court appearance. It was 15. If I didn't take the 15 then, it was 25 next time I came in. So I turned that down. We cranked it up. So when I go to trial, I go to a jury trial, and I go through all that proceedings, get found guilty, taken into custody. My dumbass attorney asked for a pre-sentence investigation. I got sentenced in August from May. So I'm sitting in county jail this whole time while they're doing pre-sentence investigation. So I go for my sentencing hearing. So now I have my presiding judge as opposed to the visiting judge for my bifurcated trial, the guilt and innocence phase. So now in the second phase of my trial, I have my presiding judge, Mark Kent Ellis. Well, during my trial, he was over in an ancillary court prosecuting the South Park Mexican, the rapper here in Houston, for aggravated sexual assault on a child because the South Park Mexican married a 14-year-old girl who was his wife because she was underage, and the whole Hispanic culture. Yeah. So he got 45 years aggravated. So anyway, so I got sentenced. The DA asked for 35 years. Judge told me to stand up. And Mr. Tarvin, you're a danger to the citizens of Harris County, Texas. Therefore, I sentence you to a term of not less than 60 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Institution Division. Sheriff remand the defendant into custody. And that's what happened to me. And so
fuck, that's some high stakes shit, man. That puts some fucking hairs on your chest, I'm sure. Damn.
So I'm sitting in jail in the holding cell going, man, fuck, I'm never going to see my daughter again because she was 3 years old. My trial started May 20th and her birthday is May 10th. I dropped her off in Centerville, Texas to her mom on 2 days after her 3rd birthday. The next time I see my daughter, she's sitting in the 50-yard line of Ford Field, which is the Dallas Cowboys practice facility in Frisco, Texas, graduating from high school. That was the next time I saw my daughter. That was the next time I spoke to my daughter. Yeah, that's the gap I have with my daughter. Thank God she's a remarkable woman on her own stead, that even if she wasn't my daughter, she's going to be somebody very intelligent, very smart. If you think I'm curious and inquisitive, she smokes me. She is what I should have been. But my father damaged me by physical trauma as a youngster, and then I turned into an addict my entire life till I was 40. And then when I was 40, I got sentenced. So when I got out in 2015, somewhere between January 2016 and 2016, in April of 2016, when I got out, something in me clicked and told me, you cannot go out there in that world and be Scotty Tarvin. Okay, because everybody here knows me as Scotty. Nobody knows who Floyd is. Floyd's my government name. When I hear Floyd, I'm in trouble. That's what that means. So I knew I couldn't come out here and be that same terror that, to this day, people that I used to associate with, they're terrified of me. They don't want my aunt and uncle and cousin are terrified of me. They won't answer my calls. I cannot see them. It's insane because I'm such a better person now. And people who know me from 20, 30 years ago, and they meet me now, they're like, oh my God, you're not even the same person. I'm like, I know, isn't it weird? I can't even explain it. Because I used to be the party animal. There wasn't, a substance that I wasn't going to do all of it as quickly as I could. It didn't matter how much there was. There was an ounce of blow. We were doing the ounce of blow. We were doing all of it. We weren't going to leave any
Dang, Floyd.
yeah, to excess, whatever that looked like. And I told you, I had tons of fun. I've lived a fantastic life. And that's kind of odd for somebody saying that, they spent a third of their adult life in prison. But I've had this just remarkable, crazy, unique, divine life. I love it. I do have frustrations and pitfalls like I went through this morning with StreamYard and my camera, but, I overcame. And I'm very proud. I'm very humbled and honored to be on this show, to be able to present this to you and with the guests, because I don't have an opportunity to really talk to you guys from my heart and soul. I try to in my videos to show you who I am and what I'm really all about. I want to fight for the underdog. And let me, because y'all brought up Mark Z a lot in this. Mark Zephyros, okay? I didn't know who Mark was, never heard of Mark Z, nothing. I just inadvertently got involved with the RV because I went to buy some junk silver for some friends of mine who own a coin shop here, and saw the Zimbabwe dollars, bought them on my way out as a conversation piece, took pictures, sent them to folks, and they were like, "Oh, you're in the RV." And I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" So they broke everything down to me. So as I progressed, as I'm trying to seek the truth, is this really a real thing? Is this just another scam that's out there that's, overwhelmed folks? So I have to do my due diligence into the Zimbabwe dollar, the Iraqi dinar, Vietnamese dong, all these different currencies, who all these gurus are, what they're espousing. Is that truth? Is it rumor? Is it fact? Is it just some bullshit to get you to buy into their process or their subscriptions or whatever they're doing? I search for the truth to find all that out. So I didn't know who Mark was. In this journey, in this RV process, I've met some really influential people. One of those people presented me the opportunity to get on the Omega Prosperity Package. So I'm on there. Well, I told somebody else, and they gave me a list of names they wanted to put on there, including in those list of names. At the time, I had no idea who they were, was Mark Zephyros, Mark Z, and Jeff Rom, the asset manager for Rodriguez Estate. So I put them on this prosperity package. So one day I said, like, "Hey man, I want to contact Mark." And the person that entered, put him on the list. They go, "Oh, you got his information?" I'm like, "I do." "Yeah, I sent it to you with the prosperity package." I'm like, "What?" I go look in, my Word files. Boom, there he is. I've got his phone number, his address, everything in North Carolina. I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay." I call him up. "Hey man, I got a mutual friend. I'm going to come to Puerto Rico for 3 weeks, man. I'd like to meet you and hook up with you." He's like, "Yeah, come on down. I've got my daughter's wedding I got to go to back in the Carolinas, but I'll be back and we can hook up, while you're here on your second week." So when I'm talking to him, Mark's never met me face to face. We've spoken on the phone maybe once or twice. So I'm in Puerto Rico. Okay. I'm actually at the airport in San Juan, and I call him up. "Hey man, I just landed in San Juan." He goes, "Well, we're fixed to take off and go back to Carolinas. We have an extra car that I would lend you, but somebody's presently using it." I'm like, "Wow, that's very generous of you. I can't believe you just made that offer to me." He goes, "Oh yeah. We do it all the time." I'm like, "Wow, man, that's incredible. Thank you for that. Hopefully when you get back, we'll catch up." So I stayed there for, little 3 weeks total. But during that time, when he finally came back, the AC at his house was out. So he had to go stay with somebody else. He didn't tell me who, but I'm pretty sure he went to stay with Zester. So we never got to hook up that entire time. So this past May, or actually April, I was going to make another journey to Puerto Rico because Mark and I are doing a business venture together, and I cannot get anybody in Puerto Rico to call me back. I leave voicemails and send emails, nothing. So I have to physically go there and go see these people in person. So I told Mark, "Hey man, I want to come see you in May." He goes, "Well, good. When you're here, you can come stay in my spare apartment." I'm like, "Dude, man, that's just so gracious of you to even offer that." I never asked Mark for anything. He offered this to me. Mark has never asked me to do one thing for him. Not one, ever. I do all this out of my own. Because why? Because I don't like seeing people getting bullied and beat up on by a bunch of idiots. Everybody is entitled to their own free will, their own choice, their own beliefs, their own dogma, their own goals. Sometimes we hear people say things and it's just remarkable, outlandish, unbelievable, and sometimes they're lies. But it's up to you to determine where that fits in with your own dogma. Okay. So in this journey, I've met some of these just great people, and they really are genuine. They really have a good heart, and they really want the best for everybody. I know for a fact Mark Z knows more information that he states publicly. I know more information than I state publicly. We all have our own little bit of information that we don't even share with each other. Why?
Mm-hmm.
It's given to us. We go under the covenant that we will not tell anybody else. Thank you for giving me the information. It stops with me. I'm not going to spread it unless I have permission. It's like the person I talked to today with the Texas State Assembly, they wanted to talk to the former state coordinator. Can I call her? I said, well, I'll text her and see if she wants to talk to you, and I'll send her your number. And if she wants to talk to you, she'll call you. That's how I handle that. And that's how it was handled. I guess they had the conversation. I don't know. But in this movement, there are people who are doing this for different reasons, and you have to understand what their motivations are. If they're using their social media platform to just survive, that's one thing. If they're using it to get wealthy, that's a completely different thing. I have a good job. I work for the International Alliance of Theatrical and Stage Employees, IATSE, Local 51 in Houston, Texas. I'm a professional stagehand and rigger. I've been doing this in the entertainment industry so long that I personally know, have spoken to, shaken hands with, partied with 3 survivors of the Leonard Skinner plane crash. Okay. Y'all know when that happened? Back in the 70s. Okay. That's how far back when I was 19 years old, I was touring with the Rolling Stones as a security supervisor. I've been there. I've done it. I'm the real fucking deal. I've been to prison 3 goddamn times. I've been in prison riots. Tried to start prison riots. I've been kicked off a prison unit, kicked out of the Boy Scouts, kicked out of Mexico. I mean, you name it. I'm just, when I tell people.
You was kicked out of Mexico. How bad you got to be to get kicked out of Mexico?
This is a great story. Listen to this. So there's a group of us. We're in Lakey, Texas at Garner State Park, and we decided we want to go to Mexico for the night and go party. And we all got some ecstasy. So the group of us go to Mexico. We go across the border. We walk across the border, and we go to this nightclub, and boom, they jam me up. Oh, you can't come in. You don't have a collar. I'm like, oh, you got to be freaking kidding me. A collar in Mexico? So it's like, there's nothing open to go get a collar. So we're all like, bummed. We all ate our X. We're fixing to start Xing, and, we're like, damn, this sucks. And there's this Mexican sitting on the curb, leaning up against the wall, like siesta style. But guess what he's got on? A collared shirt. Hey, ese, camisa, $20, and I'll give you mine. We trade. Looked at me and I go, yeah, man. I whipped out $20. We switched shirts. I swear to God. Go back into the club, start partying our ass off. We're just we're throwing down, balls to the wall. All of a sudden, one of the girls walks up. Hey, the Federales are telling us we got to leave. I'm like, what? So, yeah, we got to go. I'm like, what do you mean we got to go? Federale? And all of a sudden, here come this group of Federale with my little clique, and they put us all out the door, and they go, "You need to leave Mexico now."
The heck?
Everybody's like, what? We're all just like, got the wig-eyed, one-eyed uglies and shit. So, yeah, that's my story of getting kicked out of Mexico. We were having too much fun in Mexico, and they kicked us out. Absolutely.
Oh my god.
God's honest
Oh
truth.
my god.
Yeah, and I've got just, one story after that. But anyway, we're talking about cults. So let's get back to the whole cult thing.
Okay, let's go back and we just got a couple more to go through. So we talked about them not being responsible or holding themselves accountable as good leaders should do. So we've got two more. Isolation from mainstream society. Cults often reject mainstream values and norms and may encourage members to sever ties with family and friends who do not share their same beliefs. So that's something that cults definitely do, the leaders do. And the 10th one, unusual or extreme practices. Cults may engage in unusual or extreme practices such as ritualistic behavior, chanting, or meditation, which can be used to control or manipulate its members. So it's like singing kumbaya together, or drinking the same Kool-Aid together, or praying to the same unicorn Larry. And that's all I have. Oh wait, there's this. This is what I wanted George to talk about. George, if you could give us a psychological breakdown of this. I love this pyramid. When debating people, and I've noticed that when you're in a cult, a lot of people want to debate you. When you start giving any pushback, especially. So, could you tell us about this pyramid?
Certainly. And really briefly, this was given to me by EB3, the most feared debater across all of the internet. So he provided this framework by which to engage in a logical, Socratic discussion whenever you engage in thought process with others. But also, you can take a look at applying it to yourself when examining your own kinds of beliefs, right? So basically, at the top of the pyramid, that is the highest level of intellectual honesty, right? The lowest level of the pyramid, for instance, when you engage in Socratic debate with your opponent, when they start resorting to ad hominem attacks and name calling, basically that means you've already won, because they stoop to the lowest common denominator to make it personal. But really, here's the essence of what you need to consider for all the listeners out there. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We always want to make a priority of attacking the idea first rather than the person. So that way it becomes an honest discussion about the validity of ideas, beliefs, theories, and philosophies, right? One of the things that I've learned from engaging in discussion with Fearless motherfucking Floyd, right? The four things that I've learned that I can impart onto each of you when you take into account this pyramid framework about the skill levels of intellectual debate, right? The four things that I've learned from Floyd in relation to this is, number one, Floyd said to always check the source's background. You want to investigate their credentials, their expertise, their reputation, whatever organization that they're with to, analyze the information that they're espousing. Look for established affiliations, qualifications, etc. Number two, the other thing that I've learned from Floyd today was you want to evaluate the evidence. You want to evaluate the data that's presented. If a source claims to be credible, ask for verifiable empirical evidence such as data, references, and citations, etc. Number three, this is really important. You want to assess your own objectivity and bias. Everyone here has some kind of confirmation bias, right? It can be unconscious, it could be conscious. So part of intellectual honesty is looking at your own bias on wanting to affirm what you want to see only. You want to avoid the echo chamber phenomena, right? Number four, I would have to say that you want to verify the consistency and corroboration of information with other independent and reputable sources, right? You want to see if there's consistency across multiple credible sources. And when you do find this consistency, it enhances reliability. So if you posit with a theory and it's backed up by empirical evidence that can be objectively verified, it increases its reliability of being true, right? So any discrepancy that you have when you engage in Socratic debate with others, as well as with yourself, you want to make sure that you're aware of any claims that are unsupported, and that if there are discrepancies, that means you got to dig a little deeper. You got to be honest with yourself and be willing to admit that you could possibly be wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that, because mistakes in life, I'm always fond of saying that making mistakes in life, if you admit it to yourself, those are the greatest teachers. It's the greatest source of information to learn about how you can improve yourself as an opportunity for growth.
I love that. I love that. With that, I think we should wrap it up. Floyd, I love that. I love that, George. Floyd, do you have any last words for the audience?
Yeah. Kathy, your son's facing 10 years in prison. I'm very sympathetic with you. You asked if there were any victims in my offenses, charges, convictions. Yes, there were. I've addressed all of them. You can go look them up. Listen, when I did these stickers for a reason. I'm the person your parents warned you about. And if they didn't, they should have. Because just like Mark Kent Ellis said, when he sentenced me to 60 years, I was a danger because I had no boundaries. I had no rules. I had no laws. None of that pertained to me. None of it scared me. None of it terrified me. Guns, knives, badges, jails, prisons. I did what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it, when I wanted to do it, for however long I wanted to do it. And if that meant staying up, smoking an ounce of fucking cocaine for a week, having sex with one woman for a week, and then going to Guadalupe River for the 3-day weekend, and I stayed up most of it, definitely the whole week. Yeah, that's what I did. And that's how I rolled. It was just, anything and everything. There was nothing that was too grand or, too grandiose for me to enjoy. And that includes 20th anniversary Penthouse pet. You can look her up, Lynn Johnson. She was in Penthouse. Her and I smoked crack in my parents' guest bathroom. Absolutely. Yeah. Shay Marks, Miss May, 1994 Playboy Centerfold. I was dating her before she went to do her test shoot with Playboy. And then she went and did her test shoot with Playboy and came back, and they told her, you're either going to be May or June, 1994 Centerfold. And then they called her out to do a rap video, and I never saw her again, which she made the right decision. But I've dated some of the most beautiful women in the world, some very famous women, and I've had it all. I've had a 4-bedroom house paid off, 2 BMWs in the driveway, Mercedes Roadster convertible in the garage, the dog, the hot ass fiance, everything paid off, shoebox of $100 bills underneath the mattress. Absolutely. I've lived that life. I've been the number one guy, had VIPs to every hot club in the city of Houston, every topless bar. I used to go to Treasures. I didn't even go out in the audience. I went straight to the DJ booth with my buddy Randy and got hooked the hell up in the DJ booth. Yeah, I can tell you story after story after story. They're just, oh my God, Floyd, really? Yeah. I've had an incredible life. I've been a male dancer, a male stripper. So you can imagine what that looked like. How much fun that was. How many women just threw themselves at me all day, every day, all night. It was just one big party. And that's what I lived. So when I bring you my experiences and I share my knowledge with you, I'm coming from a genuine aspect that I am redeeming the character I used to be. This is my redemption. This is my divine life. I had to give everything over to the divine to lead me because I cannot make the right decisions because my first thought is wrong. Thank God I have over 22 years of sobriety. I belong to the Post Oak Club over on Long Point in Houston, Texas. You can go there on any weekend in the AM class or AM session. I believe it starts at 6:30. And that's led by NBA Hall of Famer John Lucas. Absolutely. My sponsor's best friend is a Hall of Famer from the Major League Baseball. Another one is a gold medal Olympian. All go to my Post Oak Club. Absolutely. So I have sobriety. I have the scars. I like to share as much information with I can with you. So I save you what? Time, energy, and money. That's what I'm here for. I don't have to do this. That's what's telling me to do this. I'm just a messenger. And I'm trying to give you the best information that I can possibly obtain and share with you so you do not make the same mistakes I have. Because I'm the first one to step up and say, you know what? I was wrong. I made a mistake. I fucked up. But you know what? Hopefully you won't fuck up because don't do what I did. That's what I tell everybody. I'm trying to lead by example. So you don't have to watch me. I'm not here for a popularity contest. I don't care how many subscribers, viewers, likes, shares. I don't give a fuck about all that. I'm going to sit here and do what I do day after day after day after day after day. Why? Because I'm intellectually curious. If you would have told me 40 years ago when I was just got off tour with the Rolling Stones, hey, bro, you're going to be doing interviews 40 years later with an NSA whistleblower who was the 13th seat for Majestic 12, which is the highest security classification in the United States. Huh? Me? Whatever. Let's go smoke.
Hey, we got to link up. I want to know the story about that maybe for another episode.
Oh, yeah. We'll hook up. Yeah. Just call me. I got my number. It's everywhere. 346-971-6999. Call me.
He puts it everywhere. He puts it everywhere.
And I'll close with this. George, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, sir. We will definitely hook up and do some more stuff together. Buffy, thank you for inviting me to be privileged and honored and humbled to complete this show. I would like to do some one-offs on cults. So anybody out there, if you think you're in a cult or you want us to investigate your potential cult, or if you have a family or a member or a relative or somebody that's involved in a cult and they're just not trying to hear it, hey, reach out to us. You can always reach me at the Fearless Floyd Show at yahoo.com. I am the Fearless Floyd Show across every social media platform. Come check me out over there. You're more than welcome to call me, anybody and everybody. My only number one rule is do not call me before 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Other than that, we're good. You call me before 9, I'm going to block you. You'll never be able to talk to me again. So don't violate the rule. And with that, thank you, my honored host and my honored co-host.
All right, everybody. I want to thank George. He's awesome. Just the sweetest guy. My little Hawaiian friend. And Floyd. I've known Floyd for going on to, well, over 2 years now. Yeah. Over scam artists and fake gurus. So we will bring more of this. And coming up very soon, Friday the 13th, I want to tell everybody, me and Gypsy are going to be doing tarot readings this Friday the 13th, and I'm giving away a piece of art. Uh-oh, I just dropped that. So I got to go now. Thank you all. Bye.